So, as you're going through this Gospel of John, I have found it helpful to know where you're going. So, if you will look at John 15, we're just going to look at that for a second. I believe this is the heartbeat of this second part. As I mentioned, you must spend time with the Lord. That's what John 15 is talking about. He says, I am the vine. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. If we were in the classroom right now, I would ask you, what in the world does that mean? I want you to think about it. What does that mean? Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes it so that it may bear more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine. So neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him, he bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. I mentioned before, I love contrast. There are contrast all throughout the Gospel of John. And here's one. You abide in him or you don't abide in him. You bear fruit or you don't bear fruit. You're cast away or you are abiding in him. This section makes it very clear. So the question again is, are you abiding in him? Meno. Stay, remain, abide, dwell. Dwell means live. What's your address? And then you give your house number. Our address needs to be, I am in Christ Jesus, no matter where I am. He is my address. I abide in him. I meno in him. I live in him. This becomes more and more a truth for you as you learn more about what abiding is. You know, a lot of times words just kind of wash over your head. They don't really penetrate and sink down into your heart. Let this be one that does penetrate. What the word abide means. What does it mean to abide in him? To dwell in him, to live in him. To not just go about a day and check off your list, your to-do list. Your greatest to-do is to abide in him. So make sure this is something you do not neglect, is the issue of abiding in him. You need to make that a key and constant issue for yourself. Another thing that I find very helpful to do is to go over to see where you're going. So as I mentioned, I believe that chapter 15 is the heart of what we're looking at, abiding in Christ. But let's look at the whole message as a whole. The best place to do that is to go to the contents on page 3, and we'll look at that. Again, the study is called A Dedicated Time with Your Lord. This is not somebody else's Lord. This is your Lord. And also where it says, Welcome to Transformation Bible Study, please make sure you look through that to make sure you're getting the most out of the study that you can. Lesson 1 is the overview of John. That will include some of part 1 as well, just for this week. But lesson 1, referring to this second half of John, it says the most important week in history. Do you believe that? Do you believe that this is the most important week in history? It is. And then you look at doctrines. What are doctrines and how do you find them? A doctrine is a teaching, and Jesus was the master teacher. And He wants you to know His teachings. He wants you to know them. Dwelling with Him will show that you know Him. Knowing His teachings will make it clearer to you what He was teaching and what does it mean. And if you don't know, you don't understand, talk to Him. Don't go run to see what John MacArthur has to say, or David Jeremiah, or John Piper, or whoever it might be that you look to see. Don't do that, because that will forever be in your mind what they have to say. And then you'll think you're wrong. Talk to the Lord about your questions, about these teachings, to make sure you understand them. Let Him reveal to you at His pace. You see, when we go to these experts, we're rushing God. I remember I was in a Bible study that they were doing the timeline, and it really wanted me to lock in on an end times position. And the Lord had not made it clear to me. And I wasn't going to. So for years and years I resisted that. I said, Lord, I will lock in. I'd like to know, but I am not locking in on that until you say, this is where I want you to stand. So for years, I would not. And we get a lot of pressure from people to believe a certain way about something like that. I know Jesus is coming back. I don't doubt that. But under what conditions? I don't think we're real clear on that. I have a leaning now, but I don't know. So let the truth come to you in His timing. Don't force it. Don't make it according to someone else's timing. Make it according to His timing. Progressive revelation is up to God. Let it be up to God, not up to man. So study those doctrines as unto the Lord. Not even for when you come to class that you have it all tidied up. That shows. That's kind of, you're letting the cat out of the bag on that one. It shows that you are rushing things when you have everything tidied up. So chapter 12, lesson 2, who do you adore? This is the example of Mary, sister of Lazarus and Martha. And she took her bottle of perfume, nard, broke the bottle, and poured it out over Jesus' head and feet. This was the most expensive item she owned, most likely. It was also probably her dowry. It would be the costliest thing she had. It would be something that would be precious to her, cherished to her. It would be her future. And when she broke it and poured it out over Jesus, she was saying, nothing is more precious than you. I adore you. You are my future. You are my hope. Who is your hope? Who is precious to you? Who is more precious than the Lord to you? He alone should have that position. He alone should be the most precious. If it's a husband or a child or a job or anything else, it should be Him. And you will hurt if it's not. He created you for Himself. Augustine has a wonderful quote. It says that God has created us for Himself, and we are restless until we find our rest in Him. Chapter 13, lesson 3, is who are you serving? Again, this lines up with who do you adore? Who are you serving? would be a boss, a family member, your children, yourself, the world. Who are you serving? And you will do a discipline on service. What does it mean to serve? You could have the gift of helps or service and still be using it for the wrong reasons. So check that out, especially the discipline on service. Take it to the Lord and make sure you're serving not because that's who you are. You like to serve. But make sure that when you're serving, it's because God's called you to serve. And not because you just are nervous and you want to help, which is a great thing. I'm not knocking helping. It's a gift. But He should be in charge of it. Chapter 14, Lesson 4, who is your life? Who is your truth? Who is your way? And we get that from Jesus' comment that He is the life, the way, the truth. No one comes to the Father but by Him. Is He your life? Is He your truth? And is He your way? 15, does your love cause you to abide? It should be your love for Christ that motivates you to abide in Him. You're going to be looking at the doctrine on parables. That's a wonderful thing to study. You're going to also look at remembering the feasts. The feasts are terribly important, and they will be helpful to you as you do any Bible study work at all. The feast, or speak to that. The feast give you enough of a timeline without locking in on premillennial, postmillennial, amillennial, pre-tribulation, the rapture, and all that. The study on the feast will give you enough of a timeline that you don't need to jump the gun and line up with someone else's viewpoint on that. And then chapter 16, is the ruler of this world cast out of your heart? That's a very important chapter. Do not miss chapter 16. Is the ruler of this world cast out of your heart? He doesn't just wander out of your heart easily. You must cast him out of your life. Actively, vigilantly, and continually. Because he's going to always try to retake that throne. Chapter 17, where in the Bible does Jesus pray for you? It's right here. Very important chapter, the high priestly prayer of Jesus. It goes along with Hebrews 7:25. In Hebrews 7:25, we know that it says that Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father and He intercedes for us. In your prayer time each day, ask the Lord, this is very, very important. What are you praying for me? It's far more important than whatever's on your mind or heart, your agenda, your to-do list. Find out what He's praying for you. And let that dictate your prayer life as well. The things that you're praying for, if they are not what the Lord is praying for you, you're really wasting your time. You need to find out what He's praying for. At least talk to Him about it. Then that week you're going to look at a doctrine on discipleship. Make sure you don't miss that either. Discipleship it's what we're here for. 285 times in the New Testament, followers of Jesus were called disciples. 3 times they're called Christians. 285 times to 3. The Lord saw that His followers were disciples. They followed Him. The church, many people in the church today feel like you're a Christian for several years and then you become His disciple. That's not the way He looked at it. And He looks at it that you are His disciple now. So don't be satisfied with taking that kind of cavalier attitude towards your faith. You must follow Him and abide in Him. Chapter 18, is God still on trial? In chapter 18, Jesus is on trial before Pilate first, before the world, before the Jews, and he is rejected. Is he still on trial? Did it matter then? Did it change his identity at all then? No, and it doesn't now. No matter how the world looks at Christ, he is who he is. His identity is rock solid. And this doctrine we'll look at is the sovereignty of God. 19, what shall I do with Jesus who is called the Christ? Nothing more important than that question. Even as a believer, as an unbeliever, yes, it's very important, but as a believer, it's important too. What are you going to do with him? Are you just going to have him as a co-pilot? You know that thing that says Jesus is my co-pilot? I can't stand that thing. Is he your co-pilot? Or is he your Lord? You decide. John 20, the eyes of faith see more. You're going to love that chapter. That is a wonderful chapter. And then the doctrine is going to be the church. The church is so much more powerful and effective when the church truly sees him. The eyes of faith see more. And then chapter 21, your last chapter, is what it means to follow Jesus. You need to nail that one down. What does it mean to follow Jesus? It's not enough for you to in and out. Sometimes you follow him and sometimes you don't. You must steadily follow him for your identity to be solidified, cemented. There is a wonderful Hebrew word, dabak, which means cling to. It said that Solomon, and this is in 1 Kings 11, he had many wives. And he would cling to his wives. You know, you can't cling to two things. You can only really cling to one thing. When somebody throws you a life preserver, you don't just kind of gently, you grab hold of it. And that's what you do when you die back. You cling to it. What it means to follow Jesus is that you cling to him. You are glued to him. So as you go throughout John, and then that last chapter, your summary chapter is, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Your doctrine is the majesty and wonder of God. This is taken from 1 Samuel chapter 3, where little Samuel as a child who worked with Eli said, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. That needs to be us. That there be nothing more important for me to hear. You know when there's a lot of talking going on and you really can't hear it all? You're going to clue into one thing. Well, in our lives, there's a lot going on. A lot of noise, a lot of talking. What are you going to listen to? His voice? That needs to be what we listen to. Above all, everything else is sidelined. So take this Gospel of John and let it do what it was intended to do. And I, without a doubt, I know this Gospel, there were 3 already. Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Synoptic Gospels. And the Lord knew there needed to be another one. And so John, through the inspiration of God's Spirit, wrote this Gospel. And it was intended to transform you. It was intended to grab hold of you and to teach you what it means to abide in him. So I pray you do that. This is called Transformation Bible Study. This is one of the studies that can truly they all can. But boy, John can. And I would encourage you to study John and then to study it again in a few years. Maybe study it this time for yourself, and then a few years later, maybe open up your home for a neighborhood Bible study and go through John again. You don't have to use this study. You could use just the Bible. Or you could use this study as your springboard to pick out what you're going to talk about each week. But study John again and again. Come back to it again and again. I would say the same thing for Sermon on the Mount. The book of Romans is another one. There are certain books that bear repeated visitation because the depth cannot be picked up in one or two visits. You must wash yourself with the Word. I encourage you, take John, talk to the Lord about it, and see where He takes you from there. Lord, I pray you bless this one that is taking on a big study like this in John. Make them know how important it is, how life-changing it is. Cause them to know how pleased you are with them. Let them know their Father's approval. That's such an encouragement to me when I know that I please you. So I pray they would know how pleased you are with them. Let them know that this isn't just all hard work and gutting something out, but this is just a joy and a blessing to do this book. I believe, and when I've done John, I'm very sad at the end to be leaving it. Happy to move on to another book because your word is filled with books that are a blessing. But there is a special blessing with this book of John. And I pray that this one that is embarking on this will find that to be true. Teach us what it means to abide. Teach us what it means to adore Jesus, to worship at His feet, like the example of Mary, who every time we see Mary, the sister of Martha and Lazarus, she's at the feet of Jesus. May we be like that as well, worshiping Him. Bless this one, Lord. I wish I had magical words to get across what it is to find your truth in a way that they've never seen it before. There are no magical words. So I'm just going to leave it with you, that you will do in their lives what it is you know they need. I trust you, Lord, and you will do this great work. I pray all this in Jesus' name. Now go be blessed by John.